In this video, I'm going to teach you how to DJ on your laptop like a pro. So this is for all of you guys that are maybe thinking about getting into DJing, but you're not sure if you like it yet and you don't want to find out that you don't like it after spending a lot of money on a controller, or if you just don't have the money for a controller yet, but you really love the art. Don't worry, I got you. The first thing you're going to need is a free DJing software called Virtual DJ. And how to get it is you just go to your browser and type Virtual DJ download, or just go to virtualdj.com, then click enter, and then you click on download. And if you're on Mac, you click on Mac. If you're on Windows, you click on Windows. I'm on Mac, so as soon as you click it, it downloads automatically. I am not going to install it because I already have it on my laptop. This software is completely free to use for as long as you use your laptop keyboard and not a controller. As soon as you connect a controller, then it stops being free and you have to pay for it. But it's the only one that I know that works well even if you don't have a controller, because all the controls are on the screen and it just works. You know what I mean? Also, one of the biggest differences between a laptop DJ and a DJ who's using a controller or a pair of CDJs is that the one using a controller or a pair of CDJs has at least two audio outputs. That's the headphones and the speakers. Whereas if you're using a laptop, you usually have one audio output. But I'm not trying to teach you how to be a laptop DJ. I'm trying to teach you how to be a DJ who just happens to be using a laptop this time. So we need to try and replicate that system as close as we can. And that's where this thing comes in. So this is what we call a Y cable or an audio splitter. And don't be scared, it's only like $5. And if you really look for it, you can even find it for like $1. So what it does is it splits the audio into the right and left channels. So on one side, it's this audio jack like this. And then on the other side, it's like this. So how we're going to use this is basically you connect this end to your laptop, and then one of these holes will be your headphones and one of these will be your speaker. So it's going to be a mono channel, but at this stage, I don't think it's anything that you need to worry about. And if you're a music producer and you have an audio interface, then you don't need to buy this thing. But if you don't have one, then this would be a good investment for you. Anyway, let me put on my headphones and then we can get into the software. So when you open it for the first time, it's going to look something like this. And then it's going to ask you, your virtual DJ has been updated. They updated a lot. Just say no. And then close this. And then it's going to ask you, are you sure? Blah, blah, blah. Just say yes. It might ask you to create an account. If you want to, you can. You don't really have to. Let's just maximize it. And then the first thing that you want to change is come here on top where it says starter. And you click on it and you select Pro. And then I'm going to show you how to use the Y cable that we spoke about earlier. So you come here to the settings on the top right, and then you click on audio on this thing here. And then if you have an audio interface, you're going to click on USB sound card. And then basically you can choose which one is going to be your headphones and which one is going to be your speakers. Ideally, you'd want to choose the sound card as your main speakers. So with me, I have the Scarlett Gen 4, and then click on it. And then for headphones, I'd click the headphones that are connected directly to my laptop. Bam, and then you click on apply. And then if you have an audio splitter, the Y cable, then you just click on external headphones. Sorry, you click on external headphones on both, but you just want to make sure that here you select channel 1 and 2. Don't do like this, channel 1 and 2. One has to be channel 1 and then the other one has to be channel 2, and then you click on apply. For now, I'm just going to use my computer audio because we haven't gotten to a part where we need to use the thing. But if you have an audio interface, you know what to do. And then if you have a Y cable, you also know what to do. And then apply it here. I'm not going to do it because I'm teaching you how to DJ for now. We're going to get to it later. And then we're going to have a look at Virtual DJ, the software. So on either side, we have what we call the deck. So this one here and this one here. This is deck A and deck B. On most software, it's deck 1 and deck 2, but it really doesn't matter. One is on the left and one is on the right. And then here in the middle, we have what we call the mixer section. The deck is where you play the track that you have loaded, and then the mixer is where you kind of manipulate it, so to speak. And as you can see, deck 1 and deck 2 are identical to each other. So anything and everything that I say about deck 1 will still apply to deck 2 as well. This circle thing here on the decks is what we call the jog wheel, and it's a modern, or in the case of virtual DJ, it's a digital or virtual representation of a vinyl disc. In many ways, it behaves like a vinyl disc. And to hear what it sounds like or to hear how it functions, we need to load a track. And to load tracks here, it's very simple. You can either click and drag or navigate using this thing here to get to your tracks, and then you just load them from there. The simplest way to go about it is go to the folder where your music is stored. For me, I have this folder here called collection, and then actually you can even click and drag the whole folder, and then it's gonna open it on the software. So if I just click and drag it, come here, it goes straight to that software, to that folder, sorry. Let me just allow it to do the thing. And then right click on it and set as favorite. After you do that, the folder is going to be here. And this is where you find your tracks. And it's just going to load all the information that you need about those tracks. And then to load a track, you just click and drag it to either deck. And then the track is loaded there. For this tutorial, however, I'm going to use these 2 tracks that I have to try and avoid copyright claims and not have my video take it down. So you can click and drag from a folder as well and just drop it on top of the deck, and it's gonna load the track like that. So wait, what was happening? Click and drag, and then bam, the track is loaded. Under the jog wheel, we have the play pause button, and it does exactly what you think. So if you press it, the track plays, and if you press it again, it stops like this. If you press it again, it pauses. Play. And then next to it, we have the cue button. So this is an interesting button. If you press it when the track is playing, it'll stop and go back to the beginning, like this. If I press it, the track stops and goes back to the beginning. And if you press it with the track not playing, then it plays for as long as you hold the button down. And as soon as you let it go, it stops, like this. And then as soon as I let it go, it stops. So if you click it like this, it does that. And then here to the right of it, we have what we call the tempo fader, and it moves up and down. We're going to get into it later on. For now, we're going to focus on the mixer, which is this part here. So like I said, this is where you kind of manipulate the track that you have playing, where the player is where you play the track. This is where you kind of manipulate it. And the first thing that we're going to have a look at is the 3-band EQ, and it's these things here. By default, Virtual DJ has this distracting thing here where it's parts of the track instead of the actual 3-band EQ, and we're going to need to change this to work exactly like a controller or a pair of CDJs in a mixer. So to change it, you come here to the settings, and then you go to options, and then you're going to click on controls, and then type EQ here on top, and then EQ mode, you click here, the arrow here, and then you select frequency. And then now you get high, mid, and low. And this is the 3-band EQ. So this bottom one here is for the low frequencies. This mid one is for the mid frequencies, and this one on top is for the high frequencies. And to reset it, you double click on it and it sticks to the 12 o'clock position. What you need to know about these is that we never use them to boost any frequencies. If you have it here in the 12 o'clock position, it means that the track is at its maximum volume. That frequency is at its maximum volume. And if you click it, you take it all the way to the right, then now it's at 200% and it's gonna redline, and we don't want that. So how it works in practice is if the track is playing and I drag this one to the left, the bass or the low frequencies will take a dip like this. And then if I do the mids, same thing happens to the mids. And then if I do the highs, the same thing will happen to the highs. But Virtual DJ also has another thing that is kind of annoying. And that is, this doesn't fully kill the tracks. And this is not how controllers and CDJs work. So if I do this, you kind of can still hear the track, and that's not how it works. So to change this, we need to come here to the settings and then just search full kill. And then here it says equalizer frequency spread, default full kill. You want to click on full kill. And then now with all of these down, you cannot hear the track when it's playing. But if as soon as you bring this one up. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to hear me when I'm talking over the music. That's why I have to pause and then talk, because all the sound is coming from the same laptop. I cannot separate it. Really sorry about that, but it's how it works if you want to DJ on your laptop. So if the lows are up, then you're only going to hear the lows like this. And then if you bring up the mids, this is what it's going to sound like. Then bring up the highs. Just double click on them. This is what it's going to sound like. And then taking out the lows, taking out the mids, and then you get what I mean. Let me just reset everything and move on. By the way, some of these buttons by default are mapped out to do certain things. For instance, if you press the space button, the track plays, and then if you press it again, it pauses. And you can have any button do anything. For instance, if you press a certain button, then it automatically kills the highs, and if you press it again, they come back up. So basically, this can allow you to use your laptop keyboard as a controller, where any key can be mapped out to do very important things on the software. This is something that I cover on my laptop DJing course called the Modern DJ Laptop Edition, where I cover everything there is to know about DJing on a laptop. It takes you from a complete beginner to a proficient DJ, where you're pretty much ready to play on a controller or a pair of CDJs. I'm going to leave the link in the description if you want to check it out, but this video is still more than enough to get you started. But if you do want to check it out, the link will be in the description. Now let's look at this knob here that is at the bottom of the 3-band EQ. And this is what we call the filter knob. And what it is basically the 3-band EQ, but in the form of one knob. So if you drag it to the right, you're taking away the high frequencies until it goes silent. And then if you drag it to the left, you're taking away the high frequencies and you're left with the lows until it goes silent, like this. So essentially doing this is kind of the same as doing this. And then doing this is the same as doing this. That's what it is. And then here to the right of it, we have what we call the volume fader. So this is a volume knob, but in the form of a fader. This is for deck A/1, and this one is for deck B/2. So if you drag it all the way down, then you won't be able to hear the track. And then if it's all the way up, then the track is at 100% volume. And then here at the bottom, we have what we call the crossfader. And what this is basically left and right. So left is going to be deck A and right is going to be deck B. So if it's all the way to the right, if you press play on deck A, you're not going to hear anything. And then if it's all the way to the left and you press play on deck B, you're not going to hear anything. Let me just stop it. And if it's here in the center, then you can hear both at the same time. That is essentially how it works. I'm just going to double click on it to reset it. And then this button here with the headphones is what we call the Q button. So on a controller or on a mixer, it's going to say Q. It's not going to have a picture of headphones. As you can see here, well, here it says PFL. I don't know what that is, but it's a Q button. And this is basically the magic of DJing. So if you press this thing here, what it allows you to do as a DJ is basically listen to whatever you have loaded on that track, on that deck, even if the volume is all the way down. So even if the crossfader is all the way to the right, you're still going to be able to hear what's playing on this side as long as you have the Q button pressed. So if you have this Y cable connected, or if you have an audio interface connected as well, this is going to be possible for you. So basically you can drag the volume all the way down and press on this button and it's going to play on your headphones. Hey, Feature Tozy here. This is something that was very difficult to demonstrate when I was recording the actual video and recording the screen. But basically, if you have your Y cable connected, or if you have an audio interface and your speakers are set to the audio interface and your headphones are set to the audio jack on your headphones, this is what it sounds like. So now I'm going to play the track on the actual speakers and this is what it sounds like. Right? Let me just... But if I lower it down and then there's nothing coming from the headphones right now, but if I press the headphone button, then there's something playing on the headphones. So that is how it works, and that's how it's gonna work for you. I was not able to show it on the video because I was recording the screen, but yeah, back to the video. This is gonna make a lot of sense once we get to transitioning. For now, we're gonna have a look at beat matching, and to beat match, we need 2 tracks, and we already have them here. So track 1 sounds like this. And then track 2 sounds like this. Now, if you take any 2 tracks and play them at the same time, this is what we get. That is what we call horses here in South Africa because it sounds like horses running. Other people call it a train wreck, but it's basically a bad thing and you should never do it. Even if we go to the middle of the tracks, for instance, somewhere around here, let's... Well, Actually, I don't have to play the whole thing. The point is it sounds bad and we need to fix it before we play 2 tracks at the same time. And the first thing that we need to look at to fix it is what we call BPM, this number here. So as you can see, one says 120 and the other says 122. What this is beats per minute. That's what BPM stands for. And the lower the BPM, the slower the track, and the faster the BPM, the faster the track. So if we want to play tracks at the same time, we need to make sure that the BPMs are matching. Virtual DJ has this thing where if you load a track, let's say it's running at 120, and you load another one that's running at 122, it'll automatically match them. That is a good thing, but at the same time, it makes it kind of difficult for you to learn how to beat match manually. So as soon as you load the track, you can double click here. For instance, if this is also at 120, just double click here so that the track goes to its original speed. Or you can change the setting. You come here to the settings and then you go to options and then you tap BPM and then auto BPM match. It says smart here, select no. You can keep it on if you want to, but it's really gonna mess you up because you're gonna get used to it. And professional gear doesn't have this. You have to beat match manually. So anyway, this track is running at 120 while this is running at 122. And to get them to match is where we're gonna need the tempo fader, which is this thing here. So this is basically how you control the speed of the track. If you drag it down, it speeds up. Like I said, the higher the BPM, the faster the track. The lower the BPM, the slower the track. So if you drag it all the way down, it goes up. The BPM goes up. And then if you double click here, it goes back to its original speed. Same with this one. Now, since track 1 is running at 120 and track 2 is running at 122, there's 3 ways that we can go about it. The first way is to speed up track 1 to match the speed of track 2. So you just click and drag on it, drag it down until you get to 122. You don't need to stress about the decimal points. For instance, 122.02 is not too different from 122, so it doesn't have to match exactly. One thing you can do is press sync, but don't do it, okay? You gotta get used to it again, and it's just, you can if you want to, but don't. And then the second way to go about it is to slow this one down to match the speed of track 1. So you drag it up until you get to 120 as well. Again, 120.1 is more or less the same as 120. And then the last one, which is my favorite, is to get them to match in the middle. So basically slow this one to, let's say, 121, speed this one to the same speed as well. Bam. Again, no need to worry about the decimal places. Or if you want to make it easy for yourself, you can go ahead and use sync because we don't have a controller at this point. So that should be fine, but at the same time, if you get used to it, it's gonna mess you up. But here's the thing though, even if the tracks are matching, the BPM is matching, you can still get horses like this. That is because of human latency, and this is where nudging comes into place. So in CDJs and controllers, to nudge, you spin the jog wheel, but here you cannot spin it. So this is where this plus and minus sign comes in. So basically, if a track is playing and you press this minus sign, it slows down periodically, and then as soon as you let it go, it goes back to its original speed. And then same with the plus, if you press and hold it, it speeds up periodically, and then as soon as you let it go, it goes back to its original speed. So kind of like this. So if you have two tracks playing and this one is ahead of this one, what you need to do is speed up this one so it can catch up to this one, or if it's behind, then you slow it down so that this one can catch up as well. Doesn't make sense when I say it, but I promise you it makes sense once you do it. So like this. Actually, my camera battery is about to die, so I'm going to switch out the battery and then come back. So, and bam, we're back. So like I said, if this track is behind, you're going to need to speed it up with this plus sign. And if it's ahead, then you're going to need to slow it down. Let me lower the volume so you can hear me while I talk over the music. So I'm going to play it like this. So this track is currently ahead of this one. So all we need to do is press this one until they kind of play at the same speed. Or if it's the other way around, now we're gonna need to slow it down. And then bam, you have the tracks playing at the same speed and they're also beat matched. So while track one is playing, you in your ear using this thing or your audio interface are going to be preparing track two and getting it ready to play so that it transitions perfectly from track one to track two. And I'm going to give you a list of 9 steps that you can take to transition effectively between track one and track two. So step 1 is to match the BPM of track 2 to that of track 1 while track 1 is playing. Step 2 is to enable the headphones so that you can be able to hear the track on your headphones. Step 3 is to press play at the right time. And then step 4 is to kill the lows of track 2. And then step 5 is to beat match if needed, whether the track is ahead or below the track that's currently playing. And then step 6 is to slowly bring in track 2. So you bring it in like this, not like this. It's gonna sound janky. Just gradually bring it in. And then step 7 is to switch the lows of track 1 with those of track 2. So essentially what you do, track 2 comes in with the lows killed, and then what you do on step 7 is basically kill the lows of track 1 and then you bring in those of track 2 like this. And then step 8 is to take out track 1 slowly. So it's gonna be like this. What you wanna do is take it out like this slowly, not like this. Just gradually take it out. Well, even that was fast. Maybe kind of like this. It's gonna make a lot of sense once I do the transition for you and you're gonna hear what it sounds like. And then step 9 is going to be rinse and repeat. So track 2 is now going to be your track 1, and then you do the same thing over and over again. And that's basically what 99.99% of DJs do. So now I'm going to do the mix for you so that you can hear what it sounds like. And I'm going to have the steps somewhere on the screen so that you can see what I'm doing in real time. Again, if you want to learn how to DJ on your laptop efficiently and proficiently, I am going to leave the link in the description. So let's go. And bam, that's how you do that. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.